the JW Marriott in Washington, D.C. opened in 1984. It was a surprise for my grandfather. It was a tribute from a son to his father. I know when he found out that the hotel was going to be named for him, that he was incredibly honored and humbled.
It was in a primo location on Pennsylvania Avenue, pretty much 2 blocks away from the White House. And when they opened this beautiful hotel, they invited him down there for a special ceremony, and it was a real honor for him, and he was very moved and very touched. It had his initials on it, as the brand is known now as the JW brand.
The day the hotel opened, I do remember a lot of news cameras, Mr. Marriott, a lot of dignitaries. It was a big celebration that day.
The day the Marriott opened, we met down on the ballroom level. And that's where I met some people who, now that we are really and truly a family.
I think at the time that hotel was opened, there was no intention for the JW Marriott to be a brand. It was supposed to be a one-off, and later evolved into the brand that it is today.
So my grandfather was J. Willard Marriott. He was the oldest son of 8 children, and he had the responsibility to help his father out at the farm.
At the end of one summer, his father had bought a number of sheep in Elko, Nevada, and my grandfather had to bring them to the farm outside of Ogden, Utah. It was an incredibly challenging trip. One night in the middle of a blizzard, he started to lose consciousness and almost froze to death. He took a lot of solace and comfort through that experience. In the words of Emerson, to become a great man, you needed to go through challenging times. And that as you overcome those obstacles, your true character will manifest itself. He later graduated from the University of Utah, where he met my grandmother. They were married and loaded up their Model T Ford to move to Washington, D.C.
1927. He had a franchise agreement in hand where he opened an A&W root beer stand with my grandmother that had 9 stools in it.
She always had a hand in the business and was a true partner to Grandpa. And I have no doubt he wouldn't have been the successful man that he was without her. And they got into the hotels in 1957 when the first hotel was opened.
My girlfriend, she worked at the first hotel, and she said actually Mr. Senior Marriott would come in there, he would take off his coat, he would come in the kitchen, he would help them wash dishes. He knew everybody by name, and I think that's why he liked the name tags, because he thought that it was important that you address people by their name.
My grandfather had a tremendous ability to connect with people. And I think that is one of the aspects of his character that helped him to be the success that he was.
Dad was a great believer in helping those who need. You know, he established the company based on the philosophy, take good care of your employees and they'll take good care of the customers and the customer will come back. He put a doctor on the payroll in the early 1930s, and then he put a surgeon on the payroll around 1940 just to take care of his people.
Shortly after Twin Bridges was open, he went there to meet with bankers. So he walked into the lobby and came to one of the housekeepers, and he said to her, "How do you like your job? How are you doing?" And she says, "Well, I really need to talk to you." So he says, "What's wrong?" And she says, "Well, I think we need some training for our housekeeper. We need some kind of program." And that was the beginning of some of our standardized housekeeping protocols and our programs that we do. So he was late for the meeting with the bankers, very important meeting, because he wanted to focus on her.
I don't see all the customers. It's the employees that see them. They're the ones that have the contact with them. Now, these employees like you, and they like what they're doing, and they're happy with their job. Well, they will convey that to their customers, and they'll do a good job.
And so I think the brand really encompasses much of what my grandfather was as a person, and that is an individual that works hard, but also finds balance and entertains and connects with people.